let's look ahead to Thursday in the NBA. We're making moves on the waiver wire to hopefully secure that fantasy basketball championship. But Michael Bolton, maybe he gets there first.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I can't stop thinking about Deirdre's salty triangle. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. So go ahead and subscribe if you have. And if you have, legends, well done. Thumb it up, leave your comments, double bang. We're all double banging here through the end of the NBA season. We're here to talk about Thursday. There are 5 games on before we get the robust 12 games on Friday. A low 3 games Saturday. I think it's 3 games on Saturday. And then 13 on Sunday. So get your streams ready. Get firing. Get ready to go. Across these games, first game up, Philadelphia and Miami. Now, I'm not sure whether we need to be worried at all about this, but we'll talk about that in a sec. The Sixers. Last time I did the streaming show, yes, I didn't do one yesterday. I did explain why I didn't do that. Had to go and take the car out, finally getting it fixed after it got smashed up. So my whole morning, the 3-4 hours in the morning where I do these shows was done, and I didn't have time to do that show, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, I had the Sixers schedule incorrect. I had their back-to-back as Friday, Saturday instead of Saturday, Sunday, so apologies for that as well. The Sixers play Thursday, then they have the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. Next week, they only play 3 games next week, which obviously is fewer than other teams because basically every team plays 4 games next week. They also have 0 quality games next week, the old Sixers. So not that that matters that much for Embiid because you're obviously going to be starting Joel no matter what, but they only play on the high volume days. We'll talk about Embiid in a second. Miami, Thursday, Friday, Sunday this week. So this is their last quality game for the week, the Heat. So fringe guys there on Miami you can move on from in a lot of cases. Next week, they go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Just on the idea of quality games and dropping players. Remember, yes, this is overarching information, right? That if there's 12 games on Friday or 13 on Sunday, a general rule is you're probably not going to have streaming ability. But you might. You need to look at your own roster. And the things that can change is what if you get widespread injuries and someone who plays on a Friday or Sunday then becomes droppable for you, then it does open up something streaming. That's why I will do the streaming shows for Friday and for Sunday, and for next week's 15-game monstrosities, I'll do them. For a lot of you, it won't mean anything, but you might get a random slot open up because 3 guys get hurt, and you drop a player because of they're injured and they're out or they're underperforming or whatever, and then you do have something that does just open up out of nowhere. So, like I've said 3 times already, Embiid is back on the injury report as questionable. Now, I don't trust a single Sixers injury report as far as I can throw it. We saw that yesterday with Embiid being out, then doubtful, then out, then questionable, whatever, and then playing. Right, it was all over the shop. Why is he questionable for this one? It's not a back-to-back. He's got, obviously, his knee. Are they actually only going to play him 2 games this week? That's possible. My initial estimation for Embiid returning this season was that I thought he would come back across this weekend and play 3 or 4 games to end the season. That was my guess. So I was off by about 2 games. The other thing with Embiid is when he got hurt at the end of January, I was I don't think this is going to have an impact at all through fantasy. So if you don't have the ability to hold and stash this guy, you drop him. And again, I know he is back, but the majority of leagues are over. Embiid has just come back now, 2 months later. And that's all well and good if you've got Embiid now and you've managed to hold through it. But holding zeros for that long doesn't work for the majority of people. No matter how good the player is, he's still getting zeros. So what do we do now? Embiid has no chance playing both games across the weekend. So if he sits this one, so what do you do with Paul Reed in that scenario? I don't know. Because now I am a little concerned that Embiid sits this game against the Heat. He plays one of the games across the weekend where they play against the Spurs in one of them. And I think, who's the other one against? Let's double check that one. Philadelphia plays Memphis and the Spurs across the weekend. So does he play both of those? I don't know. I am worried that Embiid came back, put up a good performance, and then doesn't play all of these games here. Tyrese Maxey's missed 2 in a row. He's questionable again. There's no way that I would think that he is playing this back-to-back either on Saturday, Sunday, but maybe Thursday. Toby Harris popping up as injured on the injury report. Knee issue. I don't know where that came from. And then Mo Bamba missed the last game. He's questionable too. So there's just a lot of moving parts here. DeAnthony Melton remains out. I just don't think he's coming back this regular season. And Tyler Hero remains out for Miami. And honestly, I think his return this regular season has got to be considered doubtful. But again, you should have dropped him weeks ago. If you're making a decision now, hey, what do I do with Tyler Hero? Look, he might actually come back in. Look, I don't know. He won't because he's been ruled out. But, injury reports. He won't come back in this game. But Hero might be back on Friday's game. Might be back on Sunday's game. I don't know. And then you'd be like, oh, why did I drop him? Well, again, making those decisions somewhat early. Yeah, now you're in the spot where, maybe Hero's back. What do I do? I don't know. I'm going on too much about it. We need to watch Kelly Oubre for Philadelphia because he's played gigantic minutes the last 2 games. He's been really good. Now, there is going to be a 30% shooting night with 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks coming down the pipe. It is coming. But if we do have Embiid, Maxey, Harris all sit, unlikely, but if we do, Oubre is going to take 50 shots. And that could be good or could be bad. For the Heat, what's going on with Jaime Jaquez? Because they are not playing him. The minutes are just well down. He's played under 20 the last 2. I think he played 12 minutes last game. They're out. And they're giving the minutes to Haywood Highsmith. So we do want to watch Haywood Highsmith because if he's getting 29 minutes a night, now the shot can vary, but he brings a little bit of rebounding. He gets you some defensive stats. He shoots some threes. And he's the guy in favor. Kyle Lowry also probably getting the boost there. No Melton, maybe no Maxey. Against his former team. He's always a tough one to trust, but there is a decent enough sized opportunity there for Kyle. Second game of the day. The Sacramento Kings and the New York Knickerbockers. Probably won't waffle as much here. The Kings go Thursday, Friday on the back-to-back and then play Sunday, so that's obviously the 2 full days, Friday, Sunday. The Knicks have the same schedule and both teams have the identical schedule next week as well, with the one quality game coming on Thursday. They go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. At the moment, I'm not in. Monk and Herter are out. We know they are not coming back. I'm honestly just going to tell you now that Randall and Anunoby, I think you can feel okay that they're not coming back this regular season. There is a shot. Maybe we get Anunoby back. How many days are we left from the end of the regular season now? It's like 10 days left. Maybe you sneak 1 or 2 OG games in. Don't really see it for Randall, but I don't know. But they're currently still out. For the Kings, Keon Ellis has been very up and down. We know relying upon defensive stats, relying upon low volume stats is tough. Keon Ellis could come out and have 5 steals in the next game, and the fact that he had only 1 in this game and 0 the game before washes away, because then you got 6 across 3 games and you're all good. But that's what happens. So if you are committing yourself to Keon Ellis as a player on your team, it's got to be over a period of longer games, because one game when your value is in the stats that go 0, 1, 2, like steals or blocks, you're going to have a lot of disappointing games. That's generally how that works. I don't think he's losing minutes, but we did see Davion Mitchell and Trey Lyles bump up a little bit. Was that foul trouble, or was that just a change from Mike Brown? Because Mike Brown, fickle legend, will change the minutes of guys in one game and then just go back to the other one in the next one and then change it again the one after. Very much just does stuff as it happens. Isaiah Hartenstein, speaking of does stuff as it happens, they went away from Hartenstein last game after he played 29 the minute game before. He played under 20 minutes, and we're still rostering him. But that's a little wrinkle that I didn't really expect to see. Guys getting boosted at the moment. We are talking Trey Lyles, who has been great in his 2 games back. Played big minutes, second game back from a knee sprain as well. We're very interested to see whether he actually does play the back-to-back here for the Kings, but he's at least getting that boost, and with 5 games on, he's in the mix for us here. And for the Knicks, we're talking about, of course, it is Deuce McBride, who's still available on a lot of waiver wire. So his name's going to come up a lot here as well. And with my expectation that Randall and OG don't return, well, Deuce is going to play 40 minutes a night, you would guess, for the rest of the season. So there's a lot to like there. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little bit further? Do you ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Well, our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. That's why they've got the 2024 Nissan Rogue. It is perfect for city drives and great escapes. They've got class-exclusive Google built in, and it's your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. You don't have to worry about connecting your phone. Those days are done. They are in the past. You've got Google Maps, you've got the Google Assistant and Google Play Store built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. 12.3 inches, what's that, like 38 centimeters? Cool, do you care? No, that's fine. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It has room for up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capability. 4x4. Do you say 4x4 or do you say like four-wheel drive? Because obviously, I'm reading this and it says 4x4, right? I feel like four-wheel drive sounds better. Maybe that's an Australian thing. I don't know. Anyway, you've got 4x4/4-wheel drive capabilities. It's got 284 horsepower, the old Nissan Pathfinder, up to 6,000 pounds of towing, and when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. So, go ahead and take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada, and go and find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. We can get loose here. We're at the end of the year, right? So let's just peek a little bit behind the curtain. I listen to podcasts. Whoa, what a surprise. And sometimes I hear the ads that I do appear on other podcasts. And I hear them read, whether it's the host themselves or it's like an inserted ad of someone reading the voiceover. And I hear them read the ad copy that I'm given. And they read it absolutely word for word. Like, I know what you're going to say here. I know where this part's coming. I know what's up here. And I go, yeah. And then it makes me, again, am I going to hurt my shoulder, patting myself on the back? Probably a little bit. But okay, I think I try to make my ad reads more interesting, not only for you, the listener/viewer, but also like for the customer. Like, again, off-topic sidebar, how many of you remember the ads that we did for like Built Bar, who haven't sponsored this show in over a year, because we talked about cheesies? And you'll know that part of it. You go, oh man, Built Bar, remember the cheesies? Like, try and create a little experience here so that you're not just fast-forwarding. Because I know ads are frustrating. We don't love them, but that's how I'm able to do this show. So, hey, let's spice them up a bit rather than just reading off a dry thing. Some of them I have to because it's mandatory, must say these things. But, when we're talking about 4x4s or four-wheel drives, let's get a little sexy with it. What is the next game? We've got the Philadelphia... No, we don't. That is the first game of the day. We've got the next game, Josh. It is the Atlanta Hawks and the Dallas Mavericks. This is another one of those games that was rescheduled. So it's really interesting that at this point of the year, the Hawks have got this unbelievably good schedule in terms of their quality games, but the games had to be moved around because of the unfortunate passing of the Golden State Warriors assistant coach. So if you're planning this stuff out in your draft season, you wouldn't have been like, man, look, I'm going to get the Hawks. So this awesome quality game schedule really loosens things up for the rest of my roster because it didn't exist. And that's part of why, there are people who will steadfastly tell you, I'm only drafting guys based on playoff schedule. I think that is a foolhardy method for numerous reasons. My point has always been, if there is a 2-game week there, I'm going to be, again, there's an equivalent player, I'll move on to the equivalent player. That's all I will look at with playoff. I'm not going to go, well, this guy's got 3 games versus 4 games. This guy's got all the quality games sitting in the playoffs, and I'll make my draft decisions based on that because I just don't think that works. But anyway, Atlanta plays Thursday, Saturday this week. Only 2 games, but they're on the low volume days. Then next week they go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. The Mavericks play Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and then the same Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday the following week. Trae Young is out. Okongwu is out. AJ Griffin is out. I am putting Jalen Johnson as questionable here in this game just because it is a back-to-back. So the Hawks play on Wednesday. I don't think that his sprained ankle will keep him out on Thursday, but it is possible. He played low minutes in that first game back, and maybe he does again. Usually the back-to-back rest stuff is for significant long-term ligament-type issues, ACLs, tendon issues, Achilles, lower body stuff. Grade 2, grade 3 ankle sprains, absolutely, right? Because that ligament's been stretched and pushed for the first time since returning. Or soft tissue injury, calf strains, hamstring strains, groin strains, quad strains, or where that added stress leads to an aggravation possibility. If it's an ankle sprain that keeps you out a week, usually you're okay to play through that back-to-back. But I don't know. We'll find out. Mohamed Gay is out. Not to be confused with Mamadou Gay, who is in Toronto. Might have a big opportunity today, by the way. Just want to get that in because Kelly Olynyk is resting, fake injury. Derek Lively, I'm guessing, is out. The fact that Jason Kidd said maybe it's 2 weeks. I know that he is the apprentice lying legend behind self-branded hat legend, lying legend Nick Nurse, or any other coach, honestly, who's one of the big... They all compete for the title, biggest liar in the world. Kidd's one of them, always, but I wouldn't think you would come out and say, although, again, he's said this many times, man, like, yeah, no timetable to return. Next minute, the bloke's there, like, sitting there going, Jace, I'm right here, we're ready to go. Derek Lively, he said he might be out for 2 weeks. I'm going to take him at his word. He's at least not playing here. And we haven't really had a positive update on Josh Green. So when someone's been out 3 weeks or so with a severe ankle sprain, unless I get a positive update and we're past that sort of initial time frame, I'm just going to say they're doubtful until we get the news that they're not. What's on my radar? The Hawks are a back-to-back team. PJ Washington's the guy in Dallas. His usage is way up. His minutes are way up. So what's coming? Oh, there's going to be a bad one coming. It is going, and it's got nothing to do with the opponents. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's got to do with PJ Washington. Let's predict PJ's stat line here. 7 points, 3 of 11 shooting, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. Or 25 points on 77% shooting with 4 triples, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks. They're your 2 options here for Peach. The guys are getting boosted. It's probably still Vic Krejci with no Trey, Noah Kongwu, maybe no Jalen, maybe no Griffin. But with Jalen likely to play, it seems to me that, we saw Vit play only 24 last game. He's possible streamable just because of the schedule, but the production from Monday is just not realistic. Well, Dan Gafford does get a boost in Dallas, even though I checked this out today, and I think the games where Lively and Green haven't played, Gafford hasn't recorded a single block. Now, that's not many games. It's a small sample size, but that's weird, yeah? I don't think that's anything to go off. It's just a weird coincidence. But he is going to get that boost because he was pushing to 24 a night. He should get back to 27 now with Lively not there. Golden State and Houston. This one, had the Rockets not faced some good teams and lost some games, would have been very interesting for that final play-in spot. And if Golden State wins this, it's over. There's no way. Houston, I think, are 4 games behind with 7 games left, so it's basically over anyway. But winning this one against the team that you're trying to overtake, it gives you a boost, gives them a loss. It does help in that scenario. It's still really hard to come back from to get to that gap, but if they lose this, it's literally over. The Warriors play Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So do the Rockets, and both teams have the same schedule next week. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. At the moment, John Kuminga is officially questionable, but Steve Kerr said he's going to return on Thursday. But coaches, they love it. They lie all the time. Kerr, one of them. He's a foreseeable future legend, Steve Kerr. But I think Kuminga's going to be back. Dario Saric is off the injury report, so he wasn't when I did this, but he is off the injury report. So he's ready to go. What did happen is Gaz Payton got put on the injury report as probable with that ankle issue, which has been bothering Worlds. For the Rockets, the only guy that's out at the moment is Şengün. Everyone else is ready and raring to go. For the Warriors, Brandon Podziemski, minutes were up last game. Okay, is that because Kuminga was out? He's played like 25 and 30 the last 2 games after pushing down to low 20s minutes. I do not trust Podziemski at all. But you're in a scenario here where there are 10 teams only playing, and he's getting minimum 21, 22 minutes, good rebound, a solid assists. He's going to be useful for that scenario only. But you don't want to hold through the big days. Well, for the Rockets, we saw what we feared. But with Cam Whitmore returning, that Amen Thompson's ceiling would just get cut off. It would get topped off because it has. We only really saw 2 games where Udoka said, all right, Amen, go and do 30 plus and see who we get. And they were good. But Udoka's just got something against giving him that full run. Go look at all of the box score, the game log of Amen Thompson with Şengün out. Every game's like 28, 28, 26, 26, 28, 28, 35, 40, 28, 26. So we watch that. Trace Jackson-Davis, I still believe is getting boosted. I still believe should be rostered. But we want to find out. Now, he will go to the bench of this one. I think he'll still play his 27 minutes or so, 26 coming off the bench. But we see that. I still think that boost is there. Well, Cam Whitmore, a lot of usage coming off the bench. Pushed to 23 minutes. Don't know that he ever gets to 27, 28, but he could. This is only his 3rd game back from a knee injury, so watch this. There's also a back-to-back here for the Rockets, so maybe Whitmore sits one of those as he returns from that knee injury. That is distinctly possible, as we know. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Game Time app. Worry? Forget tickets? Why would you? This is fun, man. Like getting tickets to an event, that's fun. We're not going there through drudgery. We're going there to enjoy ourselves, to take our minds off the monotony of work. But sometimes getting a ticket through other ticket sites, the ones that we don't like to talk about, it's a real pain. Game Time takes that worry out of tickets. Killer last minute deals, all in pricing, views from your seat, flash deals, zone deals, cool deals, slick deals, neat deals. It's all there over on the Game Time app. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and in some weird cases, after the event started. You can even go in there. They'll chuck a notification on your phone, or as the kids call them, noties. They don't, but maybe they should. And they'll say, hey, something's going on. What are you doing tonight? Nothing, you lazy prick. Get out there and get to an event with Game Time. They don't use the roughest language like I do, but they're still telling you that they've got the best deals in town. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create the account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. The terms apply. Again, create the account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. As I say that, the visual for this ad tells me the code is now Locked On NBA. The copy tells me it's Locked On. So I don't actually know anymore. This is an updated graphic, so let's use the code as Locked On NBA. Game Time? Maybe we'll try both codes. You're going to get $20 off somehow, so try both of them. You'll get something going on there. Game Time, yeah, get tickets. They should just hire me to do their marketing. All of it. We've got the final game of the day. We absolutely do. It is the Denver Nuggets and the LA Clippers. All right, what do we know here? We know that Denver only has 2 more games, but they're like Atlanta on the low-volume days, Thursday and Saturday, whereas the Clippers play a Thursday, Friday, back-to-back, and then they go on Sunday. And both teams have 4 next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I'm going to label Jamal Murray as doubtful. Originally, he was out with an ankle sprain, then that turned into knee soreness. Apparently, he's dealing with shin splints as well. So let's just say Jamal Murray, legs rooted. Yeah? I think that we are going to have him probably miss the rest of this week, maybe come back for 3 games next week. That's a guess. Zeke Naji's dealing with a groin issue. I don't think he's going to play. But the big question here is going to be Kawhi Leonard. He sat on Tuesday with knee soreness. Not a rest situation, knee soreness, because it wasn't a back-to-back. This is a back-to-back. But they play Utah on Friday, the Clippers. So I would think that if Kawhi sits this one, then we're really worried, right? If Kawhi is going to play, he'll play this one and sit on Friday. But there's still a chance that he doesn't play here as well. What are we watching for Denver? Reggie Jackson will replace Jamal Murray, I'm guessing. He's been very mid. Like, the minutes don't push over 30. He's sort of doing little bits and pieces. They're actually giving a lot more to Christian Brown in sort of a semi-point guard role. For the Clippers, Russell Westbrook doesn't really push into big minutes, but last game with Kawhi out, we got about 24 out of him, which is positive, and that does at least turn him into a stream option. Guys getting boosted, it is Reggie Jackson, it is Norman Powell. But Powell is more of a boost situation if Kawhi happens to be out, because he will start, but we know what Powell is. He'll score, and then that's literally the end of the sentence. There's not much else that's coming out of Storm and Norman. What about the schedule now? What do we look at? Who's got the Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back coming in here? That is the Atlanta Hawks. That's cool. If we talk about, and I actually put the wrong, that was supposed to be the Thursday, Friday back-to-back, but, L from me. One day off doing this schedule show and I miss it. There are 1 million teams that play the back-to-back heading from Thursday into Friday. Dallas, Golden State, Houston, the Clippers, the Heat, the Knicks, and the Kings all go Thursday, Friday. But have a look. Do you have open players or open slots on a 12-game Friday? Because you've got Dallas, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Clippers, the Heat, the Knicks, and the Kings all play Thursday, Friday. As so many teams play on Friday, obviously. What about over the next 4 days? Well, there's no 2-game advantage over the next 4 days. There's no 2-game advantage over the next 5 days. There is a 2-game advantage over the next 6 days. There are a bunch of teams that play 4 games in 6 nights. Dallas, Golden State, Houston, the Clippers, the Heat, the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Kings. A lot of the teams that we literally just mentioned there with that Thursday, Friday back-to-back. Now, of course, the only one out of that group is the Sixers, who don't play the Thursday, Friday. They have the Saturday game in there. But Brooklyn and Cleveland have 2 games in 6 nights. So you can get a 2-game advantage, again, depending on how your roster sits. Does it make sense to add a fringe player from one of these 4-game teams, a Pajemski for a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Pajemski for a Dennis Schroeder to get 2 extra games? Would you even play him all 4 games? I can't answer that, but I can at least pose the question for you to ask yourself to check that out. Over the next 7 days, again, I thought I invented a word, but I didn't. But I trying to bring it into popularity. Calendrical. we are very calendrical when we look at things. We want to see what happens Monday to Sunday. 5-game week, wow, that's a lot. Whereas if it happens Monday through to Sunday, we don't care. If it happens Tuesday through to Monday, we don't care. But we do care. We should care. Because the Mavericks, the Clippers, and the Heat play 5 games in the next 7 nights. They've got 5-game weeks here. But it's not calendrically a week. So there is advantage here, but there's also disadvantage. How much does Kawhi play? What happens to Luka? Are they settled into their seed that Luka can sit because he's banged up? What about the Heat and March MVP Butler? What does he do? Would his hero return? And there are a million teams. There's how many? 10 that play 3 games in 7 nights. Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, Indiana, the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Blazers, the Jazz, and the Wizards. So over these last 2 weeks, week 23 and week 24, we've had most teams playing 4 games each week. Very few playing 3. But this little period here, Thursday through to Wednesday, you've got 10 teams that play only 3 games. Non-calendrical week, but it's a week nonetheless. If we look at the next 8 days, we've still got 2 games advantages here. There's a lot of teams go 5-8. Dallas, Golden State, Houston, the Clippers, Miami, the Knicks, and the Kings. Whereas there are 5 teams playing 3-8. Brooklyn, Cleveland, Indiana, the Lakers, and the Wizards that play the 3-8. And that's it. Because if I look at the next 9 days, if I look at the next 10 days, I look at the next 11 days, those teams are exactly the same. Because after the 8 days, we move into a 15-game Friday, a 0-game Saturday, and a 15-game Sunday. So the schedule plays out exactly the same all the way through to the end of that period. So what about Yahoo points streaming in? For Thursday's game, of course, opportunities will change depending on other injuries that appear out of nowhere. I guess part of the good thing about the schedule here for Thursday's games is there aren't a gigantic amount of tanking teams involved. So you got Philly, Miami, Sacramento, the Knicks, the Hawks, the Mavericks, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers. No, the only team that's actually sort of bad is the Hawks, and they're still going to make the playoffs. So it'll play in. Every one of these teams, well, the Rockets are the only team who's not going to make the play-in here, and they're still competing for the play-in. So there are no bad teams here. And there are actually no teams that are sort of locked enough into their seed, maybe Denver, who would consider pretty likely to sit guys. So it's actually one of the better, more predictable slates, I would guess. Relish it. You're not going to get many more of them. So who can we look at? Deuce McBride, Dylan Brooksy Brooks, Cam Whitmore, Keon Ellis, Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson. You notice a significant drop-off after we get to Whitmore because there aren't great options available. But if you're just trying to get numbers in, you get numbers in. So who's got a role? Ellis is probably going to play 27 to 30 minutes. Lowry is going to play 27 to 30 minutes. Might be more depending on who sits. Reggie Jackson likely gets 26 minutes assuming Jamal Murray's out. But you need to pay attention to who's in, who's out. On the ESPN side, the names are relatively similar, just a slightly different order. McBride, Ellis, Lowry, Brooks, Whitmore, and Reggie Jackson. For your category leagues, or your category league legends over here banging out the end of the season, if you're looking for the points category, the italicized names are guys available in over 70% of leagues. The other names are available in over 50% of leagues. So for points, Deuce McBride, he's playing every minute of the game, so he's going to get you points. Cam Whitmore's there. He's available in a lot of different spots. He's a good points guy, very clearly. I've got Tim Hardaway there. I don't feel very good about it, but my expectation is Josh Green doesn't play. That means Tim gets 25 minutes. Now, the bloke can pop off at any point, but he also might not. He's useful there. And then Reggie Jackson gets you some points too. For threes, you got Deuce McBride, got Tim Hardaway. You do have Trey Lyles, who's been bombing away, and then Cam Whitmore brings you threes as well. When we're looking at big man stats, what are the rebounders? Well, we can go to New York because Mitch Robinson, even in low minutes, can get you 5 to 6 boards. Precious Achiuwa could get you a double-double. Now, their minutes are a little bit iffy because they Thibodeau changes them around quite a bit, but they're both there. And then Bruno Fernando replacing Okongwu. Jock Landale is a 20-minute backup in Houston. Good rebound numbers for deeper formats. For blocks, Peyton Watson probably doesn't have 5 block upside, but can get you 2 very easily. Paul Reed can get you 1 to 2 in his backup minutes. Now, I don't think Bumba would impact that, but it might, but also Embiid might end up being out. So good option there for Reed. Achiuwa is there, and Bruno Fernando can get you a couple of blocks in a backup role as well. For guards and assists, not a great selection, but Kyle Lowry is there. You've got Deuce McBride, Reggie Jackson, and then you want to get real desperate, maybe you get 3 out of Kobe Buffkin, coming off the bench as the backup guard in Atlanta. For steals, these ones, the picks are relatively easy. It's the same guys every time, Deuce McBride and Keon Ellis. And then you've got Kyle Lowry. And then chucking in at the back end here, Haywood Highsmith, who's been getting more minutes than expected of late. And lastly, for percentages. For your field goal percentage, I'm going to go with Bruno Fernando. The guy who projects out pretty well is Mason Plumlee, but I don't know that he plays because last game they took him out of the rotation and they used Daniel Tice instead. So I don't know. But I would guess going up against Denver that Plumlee is probably the preferred matchup as a backup if that's what has to happen, but I don't know. And then you got Mitch Robinson and you've got Dwight Powell who will be getting 10, 11 minutes or so for the Mavericks, which we know if he does one thing, it's have field goal percentage value. For free throws, Tim Hardaway's there, Dylan Brooks is there, and then you go to Amir Coffey, who's available everywhere, and then Aaron Holiday, who probably gets decent minutes, but that could disappear at the drop of a hat. And I'm not dropping my hat, but I am getting out of here. That is the end of today's show, so don't forget, on the way out, just leave one of your thumbs with me. I'll bring it back to you later on. Hit the subscribe button, and of course, leave those comments down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.